Hello, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero with a special, haven't done this in a while, tropical update. There's a lot of activity, I should say, in the tropics. And I was talking about this on television yesterday, and it's still the case, and it's gotten a little bit worse. So we'll talk about the tropics. So tropical update, nothing about the actual weather. This is just the tropics. So I have on the computer screen here a couple things I wanted to show you. Now, these forecast models this morning, I have not looked at them yet, so I'm going to be looking at them with you for the first time from the morning run. So these are probably the 6Z and the 12Z runs. So I'm going to switch over to my computer screen now. All right. National Hurricane Center here. And from the National Hurricane Center, there's 4 things out there. A little disturbance in the Caribbean. Then we got Florence, which is now a Category 2 hurricane. Isaac, Category 1 hurricane. And Helene, a Category 1 hurricane. So I'm just going to briefly go through Helene and Isaac for right now. Helene, you can see, pretty much just darts north and stays into the Atlantic, at least through Saturday. I don't know, it really doesn't have any chance of going westward again once it gets up to that 35 north latitude. It really needs to stay into the tropics for a lot, which is, say, 25-ish. It's really 20 north to 20 south. That's really where the tropics are, but I would say from right there, the Bahamas line, 25 north, that and south, if it keeps going west in there, that's what will allow it to turn up the east coast. So Helene, no. Isaac is going pretty much due west. Now the other thing that kind of going the opposite way, this is too far south. So this is staying, it looks like, pretty much along the 15 north latitude line as it's going through the area. So while it's doing this, a couple things. It's staying too far south. The subtropical high up in the Atlantic Ocean, it's not having any interaction with that. So that's what typically, with the clockwise flow around high pressure in the northern hemisphere, that's what will kind of pull hurricanes and tropical storms up the east coast. This is too far south, so it's staying pretty much due west and going through the Caribbean and maybe into Mesoamerica. So this one I really don't see anything. The other thing too, if you zoom in real close here, see Puerto Rico right there? Now this is when I was interning at CBS. I was doing a study with hurricanes or any tropical system using Puerto Rico as a point. If it was north, if the center line traveled north of Puerto Rico, most of those hurricanes went too far north and east and away from the east coast. If it went over Puerto Rico, then it had enough to go up the east coast there. If it was south of Puerto Rico, it would just continue its momentum straight and have no interaction with the subtropical high and go straight into the Caribbean and into maybe the Gulf of Mexico. So that was something I was studying. It's a little bit interesting to look at the past when trying to predict the future, but you have to look at all resources available to try and see what the best outcome would be. Can't ignore the past, but shouldn't rely on the past solely for the weather. Got to look at everything together. So that's what I'm saying. Oh, that's what I'm seeing here with these two, Helene and Isaac. Now, Florence. All right. So Florence, major hurricane. It's expected to be a major hurricane by tonight. Major hurricane again is probably a Category 4, I'm thinking here. And I don't think it'll be a Cat 5. But I think in these majors, the M's, it'll stay a Cat 4. and even making landfall. That's a bit of a question mark. Over the past couple of model runs, it looks like it was going to still be a major hurricane at landfall. This is S, so it's a tropical storm. The last couple of them, they were actually saying it's still going to be like a Cat 1. That's still a big question mark. But the other thing I've noticed, this cone of uncertainty has gotten much smaller over the past couple of days. So this track confidence has gone up with that. All right. So those are our three major players. And now let's take a look at some of these forecast models. So between these, I'm going to be flipping back and forth between Tropical Tidbits here, a really good website, and a special website I have access to, the WSI Model Lab. So here, let's just go through. There's Florence. 949 is what it's saying the center low pressure is. 947, 946. Strengthening, 945, 943. And then it kind of stabilizes right there, it looks like. But let's see. It looks like it'll hit right around North Carolina there, which goes back to a little bit of the cone of uncertainty between South Carolina and North Carolina. Somewhere right around there. And let's see what happens after this. So it makes landfall. And it stalls. So that is something I saw with yesterday's model run. So what's happening? Right. Back one frame. There. See that H? High pressure. Decently strong. It's not very strong. 1020. So it's a moderately strong high pressure. As Florence is approaching. Right there. That high is, even though there's no H, that high is still there. And it kind of puts the brakes on. These are blocking patterns. So, this is called a Rex block. High to the north, low to the south. This happened already, and we talked about this on previous uploads. I forgot, Chris. Hurricane Chris. That was it. That was a Rex block. So we got clockwise flow around the high pressure to the north. And then you got counterclockwise rotation or flow around the low to the south. So you have clockwise turning into counterclockwise, and it basically makes this figure 8 here. Oops, what did I do? I clicked. So you got a figure 8 motion here. And that figure 8 motion cancels out each other's north and southward movements. And essentially, everything stalls. So that's what it looks like it's happening here. It stalls right there. And this is Saturday morning. It just stays there. It doesn't really come up. And this is the GFS that we're looking at first. And then as it stalls there, it just unravels. And as it's unraveling, it weakens. And then by Monday, that's where we start to see some moisture come in. But we're seeing a couple other systems move in here. And these systems kind of just push out because that high is still strong. That's 1028. We have that, and that makes its way out. So that's what the latest GFS is saying, or at least as of this recording, the latest GFS. Next, Euro. Let's see here. All right, there comes Florence. This hits pretty much right smack dab in the middle of North Carolina and South Carolina. Doesn't completely stall at the same spot of the GFS. But once it's on land, it makes its way in a little bit more, then stalls. And then this frontal system here kind of just pushes it out. Similar, stalls, and then a little frontal system right there pushes Florence out. That's what the Euro is saying, and the time frame for that. Where are we? Sunday. So it looks like it's making landfall. Say Thursday. This made landfall Thursday night to Friday morning, sometime around there. So consistency is getting a little bit better. Next, this is the Deep Thunder model. This is a special proprietary one from IBM. And here, let's just play it. There comes Florence. Very well-defined eye. And very consistent spot there. This is why the National Hurricane Center has narrowed that cone of uncertainty. So this is pretty much still just about that border between North and South Carolina. And again, it just stalls. This has a little bit of a northerly push to it, however. And this looks like it's starting to unravel. And that's the end of the forecast model, which ends... Is that... Where's the time? Oh, there's time. So this is the exact end, 6Z Sunday. So it's about 2 a.m. on Sunday. So this doesn't go through the day on Sunday, but it looks like it stalls for the most part there. Next, the Icon model. Alright, let's see. Landfall's a tad bit more north than the other ones we've been looking at. This is going almost at the Virginia-North Carolina border. And then, again, it just stalls there because that high pressure and the low, that makes that Rex block. So we have that figure 8 motion, which all cancels each other out. You have the westward motion around the bottom side of the high, canceling out by the eastward motion. So all that figure 8 stalls and blocks the blocking pattern. And then it just unravels. And this one ends, that's like Monday, so it's a little bit slower. That frontal boundary has not made its way in yet versus the other couple, so the GFS and the Euro. By that time, that frontal system pushed its way, or pushed Florence out of the area. All right, this is the RPM. This is typically what you see on television as the Futurecast. Let's play this. Yeah, no, a little bit more. This one's a little slow. I hope you don't mind the air conditioner just turned on. I don't know how well this microphone is blocking it out. But even though it's cool outside, it's warm in the studio without air conditioning. Now this is interesting with the RPM model. It still stalls, but it stalls in the Atlantic Ocean. It doesn't make a landfall before it stalls. It's stalled right there, see? And then at the end of the forecast run, the forecast model run, it stalled just before it made landfall, so it's still in the Atlantic. And no landfall at all in that forecast model run, which only goes out 72 hours. But I don't know. That one I'm not too sure about. I still think it's going to make a landfall. And the last one, the NAM, doesn't go out as far. Or actually, it goes out other way, so I should flip these around. So this is 84, and the RPM was 72 hours. So here, let's see where it ends up. So it's not stalling, it's just barreling a little bit on the northerly track, which was, I think, what the Icon model was showing. Yeah, so that's where the Icon model says it's making landfall. And the NAM it's going in that same spot. It's just the NAM only goes out 84 hours. So that's it right there. Alright, let me switch back to the main camera. So, the first tropical update, it looks like it's a pretty lengthy video, longer than normal, but there's a lot of data to look through. So I'm not going to spend too much time at the end here. It's just this is going to be pretty much wrapping it up. If you want to check out more weather videos, definitely hit that subscribe button below, and I will be giving you all the latest updates throughout the week on all the tropical systems, but specifically Florence, because this is the first one really of this season to be affecting the East Coast and maybe nearby us. So, again, this is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. I'll see you all in the next video.